Hey, welcome to Verisk's latest Xpert tip. We post one short video each week about how to do something in our software solutions like Xactmate or XactAnalysis and call them Xpert tips. They're usually short, no more than 3 minutes most of the time, and sometimes as short as 30 seconds. But this one's a little different. Make sure you watch until the end because I'll talk about a way for you to win a discounted or even free Xactimate Certification Exam the next time you need to purchase one. By the way, my name's Brian Austin, and I manage the team that builds all the training content for the Verisk PES division, Xactware. My team wanted me to make an Xpert tip on how to pass certification exams, and so I decided instead to talk about how to cheat on certification exams. Don't tell anybody. I was surprised my team asked me to do this. My mother always told me I had a face for radio, or I guess nowadays she'd say podcasting, and my father told me I had a voice for silence. But I'll do my best. First, I'll mention quickly how important I think it is to complete a certification exam. Then we'll get into some ways to demonstrate your certification, how to prepare for and take certification exams, resources you can use for that, as well as what to do if you need another shot at a failed exam. You might be familiar already with our Xactimate certification exams. There are 3 levels. We used a lot of imagination coming up with the names for these exams. There's the level 1, the level 2, and level 3 certification exams. We also have certification exams for claim experience, pricing, and construction basics and estimation. But today, I'm just going to talk about the Xactimate certification exams. You could also check out some videos produced by Estimate Mastery and Adjuster TV for more information. They have great perspectives on this. The Level 1 exam covers the basics of Xactimate. Each Xactimate exam is structured the same way. We present you with an estimate that you have to accurately sketch and scope. Then we ask a series of questions to see if you were able to accurately create the estimate. You need Xactimate in order to complete the exam because that's what you'll use to create the estimate. The Level 2 exam is more complex than the Level 1, obviously, and tests your skills on a medium-sized loss. The Level 3 exam is a beast. Usually only highly advanced Xactimate users complete that exam. It covers a large loss scenario. Now, I think I already mentioned that the exams test your ability to use Xactimate to sketch and scope a loss and create an estimate. We don't test to see if you can adhere to any specific policy rules or guidelines. We're testing your Xactimate skills. Just like if you were to go out and get a technical certification on something like Oracle or Java, or some Microsoft certification, or like a certified welder certification tests your welding skills. Before you start any certification exam, make sure to confirm that you're the one taking it and using your own XID. That sounds funny, but just make sure that you're not taking the exam under someone else's XID. If you accidentally use the wrong XID to purchase the exam, reach out to our support team before taking the test, and they'll help you fix it. We can adjust the XID before the exam, but not after it's completed. Next, go through the exam and create the estimate in Xactimate. You'll need access to Xactimate for this step. There's no way around that. The exam will include instructions for the sketch and scope of the estimate. Once you've completed that part, then you can move on to answering the questions. The questions in the exam are open-ended, and many will require you to enter values from your estimate. Most of the exam questions are open-ended, and the goal is to see how accurate your estimate is. There's some flexibility. You're allowed up to a 2% variance in your answers on the Xactimate Level 1 certification exam. For instance, if the correct answer to a question is 120.17 or 0.17, 2% would be 2.4. So any answer between 117.77 and 122.57 is acceptable. If the answer is 93.72, a 2% variance would be 1.87. So anything from 91.85 to 95.59 is fine. Just remember, your answers should be given often up to 2 decimal places out. We've noticed a lot of people seem to get confused when they're looking for variable values in rooms. It's simple, really. You click on a room, select Properties, and then you may need to select the Click for All Variables button. There will be questions that require you to find values from this part of Xactimate. A quick note about calculations. Make sure you're paying attention and doing those correctly. This is also something we've noticed that trips people up. The Xactimate Certification Exams, specifically the Level 1 exam, requires you in most cases to deduct missing walls. To configure your estimate to do that globally, you can go to Options, Preferences, Place, and then select Deduct Missing Walls from Calculations. Another way to deduct wall openings is in the properties of a wall opening. For example, you can select a Windows Properties, select Deduct Window, and change it to Yes. One common issue people face during our certification exams is that their measurement rounding isn't precise enough. Xactimate Sketch by default rounds measurements to the nearest inch, which can cause slight discrepancies. To improve accuracy, I recommend adjusting the rounding to 1/16 of an inch. Also, instead of eyeballing measurements by dragging walls to what looks right, it's better to click, drag, and then type in the exact measurement you need. This approach reduces small errors that can add up over an estimate. And keep in mind, fractions are expected when working with curved or diagonal walls. Pay attention also to the price list you're supposed to use, as well as the tax jurisdiction. This is included in the instructions of each exam. If you get this wrong, you'll for sure fail the exam. Some of the questions ask for prices which are impacted by the price list and tax jurisdiction. Now, especially in the Xactimate Level 1 exam, most doors are standard size. But pay attention, because there might be a couple that you have to customize the size for. Some people also forget to pay attention to the overhead and profit included in the exam instructions. This will mess you up if you don't pay attention to that, so make sure you set that in the parameters screen according to what the instructions show. Now here's just an insider's tip. Many of the answers you'll need for the exam can actually be found in the final draft report Xactimate generates. In the Level 1 Xactimate Certification Exam, the instructions clearly specify which estimate items to use. For Level 2 and especially Level 3 exams, you'll need more skill and judgment to choose those right items. However, in the Level 1 exam, it's best to rely on the keyword search to identify and select the correct estimate items. If you stick to this method, it's almost impossible to pick the wrong ones. Also, make sure to pay close attention to the calculations. For example, in this case, we're adding an additional 15% waste to this carpet line item. Okay, a few more random tips. First of all, take your time with the exam. I know it's hard to find uninterrupted blocks of time these days, but it's worth it. The Level 1 exam will likely take a new user around 3 to 4 hours to complete. That includes building the estimate, looking through the questions, finding the answers to the questions, and then actually answering the questions. So send the kids or pets to a friend's house or your mom's, turn off your phone notifications, and tell your boss to chill and that the world won't implode if you miss an email. And then focus. You might even consider taking a quick 7 to 15 minute power nap before taking the exam. Grab your favorite caffeine, I prefer Diet Pepsi, and then make sure you stay hydrated as you're taking the exam. And relax, this isn't the apocalypse. No zombies will pop out of the ground if you struggle at first. In fact, it would be weird if it wasn't challenging. It'd also be weird if zombies popped out of the ground. And take breaks when you need them. You can walk away from your computer. Xactimate saves your estimate. And as long as your internet connection is solid, Xactware Classroom will remember things as well. If you do happen to close Xactware Classroom as you're answering questions, you'll need to go back to the beginning and answer the questions again. Once you've built the estimate, triple check your work. Then move on to the questions, double check your answers, and hit submit. You'll get your score instantly. If you don't pass, don't sweat it. You can retake the exam as many times as needed for a year at no extra cost. I wouldn't recommend starting an exam unprepared. Despite what our CTO says about our apps being plug and play, Xactimate isn't exactly simple. Building an accurate estimate takes skill, and it's tough to learn on your own. But don't worry, you've got plenty of options to get ready for a certification exam. First off, we offer live classes, which you can find on our website. Or if you're lucky, you might work for a company that has its own training department with Xactimate courses. And for those who like to learn from pros, there are literally hundreds of Xactimate certified trainers across North America. These are experienced folks who know the ins and outs of Xactimate and how to teach it well. For a more modern approach, we've got self-paced training options. In Xactware Classroom, where the exams are, you'll find a course called Xactimate Level 1 e-learning. It's packed with hands-on exercises to get you into Xactimate and building estimates quickly. If you've got the pro version of Xactimate, you'll already have access to 14 courses in Xactware Classroom. If not, you can always purchase access through our shopping cart. And for old school learners like me, we've got a workbook that's loaded with instructions and hands-on practice estimates to help you prep the exam. Now, let me just say one thing about cheating. So the title of this expert tip is How to Cheat on an Xactimate Certification Exam. Obviously, that's a gimmick. We know there are plenty of ways to actually cheat. These exams aren't proctored. We don't have someone watching you to make sure you're actually the one taking the exam. Even though there is a warning at the beginning of the exam reminding people to take them under their own XID, we still get a call now and then from someone claiming they took the exam under the wrong username. It's not a huge deal if the exam is purchased using the wrong XID. We can easily switch that before they take the exam. But once they've passed the exam, we won't shift it to another XID. So don't be that guy that asks someone else to take the exam for them and then calls us claiming that they accidentally used the wrong XID. Don't sit next to your coworker comparing answers and think it's all good. That guy loses a little piece of his soul every time he cheats. Don't be that guy. We've worked hard to make the exam fair and not tricky. We've spent literally thousands of hours crafting these exams to test your ability to create accurate estimates using Xactimate. Is the exam perfect? No, nothing's perfect, but we put in months of effort every single year to keep the exam legitimate. So don't be the person who screenshots answers and posts them on Reddit. You know who you are. Be the person who prepares, doesn't freak out if they fail, learns from it, and earns their certification the right way. Be that guy. You're the hero of your story. Act like a hero. Now, once you've earned your certification, congratulations, you should share it. It's really easy to share your certification. There's a link in the description of this video to another expert tip that shows you how to share your certifications. When you pass an exam in Xactware Classroom, you get a badge. Share that badge on LinkedIn or whatever social platform you like to share things on, and people can click on it to verify that it's legit. Let the world know that you're certified. Okay, I've rambled on way longer than my team wanted. Sorry guys, I told you this was probably a bad idea. But I'm finally done. Don't forget to comment Xactware Classroom Birthday Bash 2024 for a chance to win a discount on your next exam, or maybe even get one for free. And keep the questions coming in the chat. My team and I will be here to answer them. Give us feedback in the comments and like this video. Don't lick it. Have a great day. Smile at the next stranger you see. Give your dog a treat for me and make sure to say thanks to the person handing you your food tonight.